and gals, it's Dane at JONAH Guitars. I'm just taking a top out of the clamp. I'm going to do one of these quote thingies out of the clamp. Saw a video just a few days back of somebody using a very new, not newfangled, using a purpose-made clamp for tops, and I'll explain it to you briefly because I'm sure you've seen it. If you watch this sort of stuff, you've seen these before. Basically, it's a couple bars, 4 bars, with a place to tie rope around the whole thing, and then you drive wedges into it. So it pulls the top together and it clamps the top to bottom so that your seam is lined up. Okay. He bought it. He didn't build it. He bought it. They're not difficult to build. So he paid 100 and something. I think I'm not sure. It was probably around 150, 30, 50 somewhere. I don't know. So anyway, this is another way to do it. You don't have to have a purpose-built clamp. And yeah, I may have showed this process in a previous video doing some backs. I haven't actually built the guitar yet, or guitars. I've glued up a couple backs, and so just taking this out of the clamps, and then I'll glue up the next one. I did this one last night. Next night, do another one. I do sand tops for a guy, another builder, because I have the sander. And so anyway, I don't know if you can really see anything there. It's these pieces weren't exactly the same size to begin with. There's hardly any variation there between the halves. So, and that will sand out very nicely. And these tops, you just get, I don't think I finished the other thought because I do a lot of sanding for him. He gives me wood and things like that. I'll go as far back as to when he gave me the sander temporarily for storage. And then he didn't get to set one up, so I kept it and I sand stuff for him. He gave it to me, I didn't just keep it. Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to clamp this back to the edge of the bench. This is a relatively flat surface. It's not, it's probably not perfectly flat, but it's flat enough for the purposes of what we are doing here. And I actually just bought 4 pretty cheap clamps at Harbor Freight, and I have a lot of clamps, but you know you can never have too many, as the old woodworking adage goes. You can never have too many clamps. But this is a good clamp for what I'm doing with it, because this one grabs the work sideways. So anyway, so this is clamped down nice and solid. When you take you put your half of your top down. I still don't think I ever finished the whole thought with this. Now the other one that I glued up already is a pretty good match, even though it's not technically a book match top. But the growth rings and the coloration. Okay, these aren't book match tops, but I had a few sets to go through that this friend of mine let me look through. These were apparently tops that were purchased by Ovation and sorted through, and I don't know if these were the rejects, probably, but these I've managed to find pretty close in color and then also in growth ring size and in the length and the size of the lines, angles. I don't think that top, I think you'd have a hard time proving it wasn't book matched. This one, not so much. But I'm going to go ahead and glue them both up. Color is pretty consistent throughout. This one overall is a little redder looking. just a little. And then the growth rings on this piece are wider than they are on the center line of this piece. But anyway, that aside, you put our top piece up against this straight edge here that's clamped. We put a spacer underneath the edge of that, and that spacer holds the piece up far enough away from the other one. Now I have these screws. I'm just going to take these out. Alright, so I'm going to hold this in tight, pre-drill 4 holes right next to the top here. Drive those screws in a bit. I've seen this done with just small nails banged in next to the board and then kind of bent over a little bit. All right. Can't see it because it's out of your view. I'm just gluing. I like fish glue. I use fish glue because it cleans up nicely. It sticks really great. I don't know if I need anything more than that. It has everything, all the things you can apply and say about hide glue, you can say about fish glue, except that it has a much better open time, working time. And I don't really have a good way of showing you, but I have plenty of glue on this thing, and I'm only gluing one edge, but I'm putting enough on there that it's definitely not going to be an issue as far as that goes. Now, pick up the other side. Get all this stuff lined up. Oops, maybe. My stick moved. Of course my stick moved. Last night was perfect. Alright, so now that we have those pieces together, the stick comes out. We push the top down and we make sure that the sides are lined up, and they are. Very nicely. Now I'm going to go ahead and wipe the water off, or wipe the glue off of this side, just so I don't have bunches of it to deal with. There's a significant amount of clamping pressure pushing these two together. I feel no extreme variation, maybe right there. I also didn't have any issues with last night's glue up at all. I didn't check this beforehand to make sure that they were the same, but actually that's perfect now. Very good all the way. So all I'm going to do is put the wax paper or parchment paper down so I don't glue anything to it. Put these sandbags on here. And I just added some weight. And this isn't, I mean, the inward pressure is gluing right now. All this does is just make sure the thing doesn't pop up for some reason. There you go. That's it. Pretty simple glue up process. Didn't cost me $150 for a clamping setup. Didn't have to spend time making a clamping setup. All I had to do is clean off a corner of my bench and, you know, clamp a board down and run a few holes in. So this is a really good system. Actually, if you have a really good joint, you don't need a lot of pressure pushing that joint together. Another thing about fish glue and hide glue, they draw the joint tighter as it dries. It actually sucks the joint together. I have held braces inside of acoustic guitars in the right position doing repairs until hide glue has dried enough that it's actually sucked the joint together. It didn't take that long. So anyway, that's it for now, folks. Hope that was helpful. And oh, one last parting shot here. If I was getting $10,000 a guitar as a baseline starting price, I'd probably go spend $150 on a jig. You know, why not? It looks fancy. Makes good videos.